everyone, and welcome to the first round of career, and you will see that we have chosen Mercedes to be our team, and we are in qualifying, just a short 15-minute qualifying session here, and it was full, it was inters throughout the session, no chance of slicks or full wets, and you'll see that I've got a Lotus in front of me, as this is my first competitive lap time that I set in this session. I was struggling in this Mercedes in the wet. I wasn't quite on the pace of the Ferraris at the front, who were really pretty dominant, but you'll see there I go 6 tenths faster and I was second off, and then on my next lap I then wasn't paying attention and I smashed into the back of Nico Hulkenberg. I was very lucky not to get a penalty there, but that was the end of Hulkenberg qualifying. And then later on in the session you'll see that it is slightly brighter, slightly drier, although the inters weren't working any better. It was starting to get a bit too dry for them, if anything. And although I do improve here, which is my proper time, I still don't get anywhere near the Ferraris. I just go just behind my teammate, and then right at the end of the session I improved by a couple of hundredths, but I lost time due to Chilton, and it's 4th and 5th for Mercedes' first race in 2013. But you'll see my guy is really disappointed with that. He was expecting much better than that, but of course we're starting on the slicks for the race. There is no rain forecast for the race, and we start in 4th and 5th. My teammate's starting on the medium tyres, which will be interesting, but I switched my fuel bit up to rich as we go for the start, and I got a way better start than my teammate due to my super soft tyres. Vettel was all over the back of me, and I tried going around the outside here, but I kind of outbrained myself and hit Alonso a bit, who's going a bit slow on the outside, and he's off into the gravel, and I've taken the lead going down into turn 3, and Massa's challenging me though, so I'm going to have to cover the inside, but it looks like I've got the position with my teammate even slotting into second place. So Mercedes really moving up the grid here, really looking good for the rest of the race. But on lap 4, although in these laps I had extended a little bit of a gap, like a 4-second gap, my tyres were starting to get really old and they were really knackered, and of course Sir Lane, who started on the prime tyres, had much more life in his tyres, so he had the DRS here, so he was looking to pass me going into turn 1. And he goes down the outside, and I try to outbrake, and there's a little bit of contact. He runs off the road a bit, and then I use my curves to try and get back, but of course he's got the DRS again, so it'll be interesting to see whether we can still keep the position. He's going really fast at this point, setting purple lap times, but I keep the position. And then later on in the lap though, I go wide due to my front left being so worn, and the engine cuts out because I was off the track, and Sir Lane was passed. And I tried to stick with him here in his slipstream, and the AI weren't that far off us, so we need to be careful not to make contact. As you can see, I went into the pits, and Massa, who was our closest competitor in this first stint, is just behind us. He switches onto the super soft tyres though, while I switch onto the primes, which is what my teammate was on for a prime stint. And you'll see that I come out lower down than I thought I was going to go. I thought I was going to be easily top 5, but it wasn't, and I rejoined just behind I've forgotten his name now, but it was an okay pit stop. And then on lap 7, of course, some people have pitted before that. I was setting some good lap times. Sutil pitted before I managed to catch him up. I got the DRS on him though, but we started to properly go towards the pack, and I moved into second place as well because of Grosjean, setting purple lap times. But of course Massa was on the super soft, and he was actually catching me a lot faster than I was catching Sir Lane, but the gap Sir Lane was coming down by seconds per lap. 2 to 3 seconds on some laps, and Massa had his best opportunity here of passing me, but he didn't quite have the momentum going into turn 3. I managed to cover the inside, and that was fine. He then kind of stayed around with that lap before pitting for a set of primes, I think, while Sir Lane is pitted in front of us, which means that we move up into first place. And we have to start building this gap up, because we managed to get a 7.3 second gap out of that pit stop. You'll see here going through the first sector, which is the first time I could tell. I had a 7.3 second gap, which of course is really big, but he was on the super soft tyres, and he started really reeling it in. It's 5.9 on that lap, and then in this lap it was just 1 second. So that's like 3 laps, and he's caught up 7 seconds. Which is just amazing. At the end of lap 14, my front left was ruined. See, I had real problems with my front left, and he was having a go into this corner, which I'd have no idea what the number is, but he has to drive out this corner. He does a really rare move down the inside here, and we get really close, but just about fitting through, and we have no contact. But of course I pit on this lap for another set of prime tyres for my second stop, 3-stopper in this race, me and my teammate. But there were a couple of people who we thought were going to two-stop, which was Raikkonen and Grosjean, who are the main contenders for a two-stop. But you'll see later in the race if they do. But I come out here, lap 15, in 6th place, which isn't too bad. We haven't really gained much on the AI since the first stint. But across the line here, you will see that Sir Lane has exited the pits in front of me. But of course, I have the momentum, and I start really reeling him in here and start attacking him as he is on the cold tyres and I am on the I'm on the primes that have been on for quite a few laps now. So I just try to get myself in position to attack using my curves in places which I don't usually use them. It's a tactic I'm starting to use now, use curves where people aren't using them to get myself closer to make a move. But you see I run wide there a little bit, so that doesn't allow me to have a go. And here I use my curves as well, but they're still not close enough to have a look. And you'll see the cars in front, which we will catch up. But I don't have the momentum on him at all. I mean, I'm in his slipstream, and I'm catching him up a little bit. But then I try to cut this corner a bit, but then I go way too much on the inside there, and it spins me out a little bit, and I lose quite a lot of time. But then Sir Lane is caught up with Vandergaard and Massa, and I use my curves, and I managed to go past all 3 cars, although 2 for position, and I move up into 4th place, and that is the net lead due to Sir Lane being behind me now. So that was a really good move, and I'm back up into the lead. And I catch up Grosjean at the end of lap 17, but of course my teammate is still there, and he's on slightly fresher tyres, so he is going to go straight past us here. And he's going to look at Grosjean, who takes the first corner a bit slowly and then has a wiggle, and Sir Lane has to go round the outside and just about fit through that gap. And now I realise that if I want to win this race, I have to take Grosjean quickly, so I make a really late move, bit naughty that, to try and keep up with Sir Lane, because we've got 1 pit stop left, and I really need to stick with Sir Lane. And you'll see here that I've lost about 3 seconds to Sir Lane. And I had Vettel behind me there, who for some reason was down in 15th place. But we go in for our pit stop, which is onto the options, which we haven't been on since the beginning of the race. But this is the crucial time, because hopefully I can get a big enough undercut to Sir Lane to take the lead on these super soft tyres. Of course, I haven't been on the super soft tyres since the beginning, so it's a bit of an upwards curve, which he had the advantage over. But you'll see that Raikkonen passes me here. He decides to stop along with Grosjean. Grosjean I didn't see though, but Raikkonen gets past, and Grosjean actually gets past. So you do see him. That's a lie. But you see Raikkonen here wiggling around a bit. I dive down the inside. His tyres are completely gone. Mine are completely new. Kind of squeezing to the outside there. Bit naughty as well. But I was trying to maximise my time. And Sir Lane was pitting on this lap, and you can see him coming out of the pits up ahead, just under the Rolex bridge. And that is a lap Toro Rosso in the way, so that's not really a problem of Jean-Eric Verne. But I tried to catch up Sir Lane here, because yet again I realised that he's got cold tyres, I have warm tyres. I'm a bit more, I have the momentum on my side. I haven't quite set a purple lap time because I haven't even done, this is my first flying lap. But I feel that I could attack him. But then on this lap, I cut the corner too much because of all the other corner cuts I did in this race, and I got myself a 10-second penalty, which was my own fault. I'm not really going to moan about it, because it was just me being, well, an idiot with the curbs, really. But I stick behind Sir Lane for a bit, but then, of course, I've lost a bit of time at the end because his tyres were slightly fresher. But Raikkonen, we actually managed to go from a 2-second gap to an 11-second gap in 3 laps because of how bad Raikkonen's primes were. But now, as we head to the line, Sir Lane wins in Australia, taking the championship lead with me 2nd place. So that's a perfect result for Mercedes, and that has been it for this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. Please leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. This has been Alex, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.